Sergeant Nicholas Koulchar, a 2000 Montrose graduate, is being inducted into the Montrose Hall of Fame for the Special Achievement Award. By age 26, Nick endured more tragedy in his lifetime than anyone ever should, when he became a double above-knee amputee from an explosion during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Nick is retired from the United States Army, where he received the United States Purple Heart, the Bronze Star, the Operation Iraqi Freedom Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, and the Combat Action Badge. Nick left Walter Reed Hospital at age 29 and has since dedicated his life to regaining his health and redefining what it means to be disabled. Today, despite his injuries, Nick is a motivational speaker and a competitive athlete. His character has proven to be the epitome of how to overcome adversity, regenerate oneself, and successfully flourish in life. Nick was born and lived in Flint, Michigan until 1990, when at the age of 8, he moved to Montrose with his dad, Anthony, and younger brother Mike. Nick's dad became a solo parent after his mom left them when Nick was only 3 years old. His grandma, Mary Koulchar, moved in to help raise the boys until she passed away from cancer when Nick was 12. As a kid, Nick played all the sports, then focused on football, powerlifting, and wrestling during high school. He tasted success at all three, while learning how to develop a work ethic and discipline. As a junior, he played defensive tackle and guard on the 1998 varsity football team that clinched the first football team state championship for Montrose. His successful powerlifting team won the state title, then advanced to win a national title in 1999, where Nick was one of 7 Rams that earned first-place honors at nationals. Nick capped off his senior year when his wrestling team claimed a regional championship in 2000. Plans to enlist in the Army directly after high school were delayed after Nick's father became ill. When his dad passed away in 2002, Nick became a guardian over his younger brother Mike, making sure he graduated and enrolled in college. Once life wasn't holding him back, Nick committed to the Army in 2006 at the age of 24 and became a combat engineer stationed in Germany. In 2008, Nick was deployed with Task Force 16 to Iraq and was attached to the 1st Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division, for operations in and around Baghdad. On August 26, 2008, Sergeant Koulchar was conducting route clearance operations as a gunner of a vehicle when an explosively formed penetrator, EFP, struck the side of his vehicle in Sadr City, Iraq. His teammate, Corporal Alfonso, was killed. Both of Sergeant Koulchar's legs were amputated above the knee as the blast tore through the truck. Nick dragged himself through the vehicle to the next exit door, where his platoon members evacuated him and transported him to a medical aid station. Sergeant Koulchar was prepared for medevac, then airlifted by helicopter to central Baghdad, where he endured a number of surgeries before being stabilized and airlifted to Landstuhl, Germany. Spending nearly 2 weeks in a coma, Sergeant Koulchar awoke on September 10, 2008, to find himself at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, where he remained for more than 2 years. His brother Mike moved to Bethesda to see Nick through what life had thrown at him. Their roles became reversed, and the younger brother stepped in to care and support Nick through the pain and hours of physical therapy, strengthening their bond even more. By 2009, Nick developed heterotropic calcification, where false bone kept trying to regrow in the soft tissue that doctors couldn't fish out since his pelvic bone was shattered. His surgical team was using a 3D model to discuss a plan of action when Oprah stopped by his bed when Harpo Productions filmed at Walter Reed.
So tell me your story. What happened?
Oh, I got blown up. Wrong place, wrong time.
Army Specialist Nicholas Koulchar was in Iraq when his vehicle was hit by an explosive device. He lost both legs and his pelvis was shattered.
There was a distinct moment, like when I first got hit, I thought the vehicle rocked, and I thought maybe just the concussion of the blast, like, just broke a leg or something like that. And then I like tried to move and I fell backwards. Because at that moment in time, whenever your foot's over here and you got big chunks of meat and your sergeant's like, I gotta get out, and I'm like, just crawl over me. So and he's telling me I'm screwed. Pretty much made peace with it at that time and had to roll on.
Really?
Well, seriously, you know, you start panicking and that's how you die. I probably wouldn't be here today if I'd have freaked out. I kept telling myself I can't die because, you know, I didn't want to have my little brother have to bury me. And he's the only family that I have, and I'm the only family he has, really. And, you know, I wasn't about to die and leave him alone.
Well, it's an honor to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Yes.
You want me to sign where here?
This is a replica of what his hips look like inside.
Oh, Doc Potter, where would you like her to sign, on the pelvis?
In the pelvis. So what is this of? What is this?
This is of me laying down just like this.
Basically, it's what we call HR, heterotopic ossification.
Wow.
And it's false bone. It's growing within his muscles and different layers of tissue.
Wow.
This spot that's completely hard would be equal to this spot right here, where it's bone growing in.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, you want me to sign here?
Yes, ma'am.
Blood services for a week because all the blood that you can do all that.
Thank you. Thank you. Blessings,
Yes.
really. Blessings.
Because Nick's routine was eat, sleep, fast, surgery, the hospital staff labeled him Panda Bear, since all he did was eat and sleep like a panda. After a decade of operations and over 70 surgeries, Nick is now able to walk again. Nick does not let his injuries slow him down and inspires others by striving to discover how far he can go. Whether he's hunting, hand cycling, lifting weights, or CrossFit training. In the last 15 years, Nick has traveled all over the country competing in athletic challenges. He completed over 40 marathons as a hand cyclist and has surfed. Nick is an adaptive CrossFit athlete and competed in Spartan races where he downhill skied and even carried an Atlas stone, sometimes crawling. His nickname was upgraded after being featured in an article. Meet Nick, the Raging Panda Koulchar, the wounded veteran who's inspiring millions with his feats of strength. Nick met his beautiful wife Danny at a fundraiser for veterans and married her in 2013. They honeymooned in Hawaii, where Nick took on the challenge of the extreme climb up the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail, where the view from the top was sure worth the climb. Nick claims it was a tough push in a wheelchair, steep but not impossible, like anything in life. Danny and Nick moved into a specially adapted home in Brighton, Michigan, where they are raising their 3 sons, 8-year-old Finnegan, 6-year-old Crosby, and 3-year-old Wrigley, named after Wrigley Field. Nick is very involved in their lives and coaches youth football, soccer, and wrestling for his young sons. In November of 2023, Nick was honored as the Detroit Lions' hometown hero.
To honor the brave men and women stationed around the world who protect our freedom, the Detroit Lions and Kroger welcome a special guest. He joined the Army in 2006 as a combat engineer and was assigned to the 1st Armored Division in Germany. 2 years later, during Operation Iraqi Freedom, his vehicle was struck by an IED, causing him to lose both of his legs. After a decade of operations, he is now able to walk again. In the last 15 years, he has completed several athletic challenges, completing over 40 marathons, including 14 consecutive here in Detroit. He now coaches football, soccer, and wrestling while enjoying life with his wife Danny and their 3 children. With honorable service to our country, he has received the Combat Action Badge, Bronze Star, and United States Purple Heart. A true patriot and defender of our freedom. Please welcome, from Brighton, U.S. Army Sergeant Nick Koulchar.
Nicholas Koulchar retired as a United States Army Sergeant. Nick worked as a veteran service officer. and now devotes much of his time advocating for fellow veterans and their families as a National Service Officer for the Disabled American Veterans Organization. He is also a service volunteer and board member for Veterans Rights, promoting awareness. As a motivational public speaker, Nick uses his personal story to help others find tools when faced with adversity. He inspires to pivot, put a plan of action in place, and move forward after that initial shock. He speaks about adversity to a variety of audiences, from younger kids at school to teams, corporate types, and various veterans and their caregivers. He leans on his personal life trauma as a base and has become an uplifting force for a variety of people. Nick is self-employed and works part-time with Operation Second Chance. He's also writing a book that focuses on parenting and finds ways to expose kids to adversity in life. Nick credits his dad for being a huge influence on how he conducts himself. He credits Coach Dennis Reinhardt for introducing him to weightlifting back in middle school and developing a work ethic and mental aptitude that helped him through his darkest days. Please welcome Sergeant Nicholas Koulchar into the Montrose Sports and Community Hall of Fame for the Special Achievement Award.